academic banquet, Hall of Fame banquet. So those are the things that we depend on to not only spread the word about what we're doing, but also to raise money and enlighten the community about what we're trying to do and all the folks that we support. So it's been a tough year in that sense, but it has allowed us to take time and really look at what we want the foundation to be and do. And so I think we have a clear idea of what we want to do, where we want to go, and how we can better serve our community and support our youth. With that said, I want to start off by introducing, for those who haven't seen it, our alumni website that we've spent a lot of time, or more time than I had bargained for, but we think it's up and we're ready to introduce it to our public. As you look at it here, there would be bullet points, drop-down deals where our alumni can just go and drop down the screen. But since this format opens it up a little different, I'm going to ask Amy to press here and just go to like the directory. And so there's several different ways a member would be able to look it up. Just go back to the original screen before. Click on events. Let's try events. So we'll just go skip to events, but these are the alumni reunions that we have that people have identified that they're going to have this year and in 2021, the ones that have been postponed. In our district, we have just a ton of classes, reunion classes, because we have never had a alumni association, so they all operated on their own. So what we're in the process of doing is contacting every class, getting every president and vice president to be a part of this. We did a soft rollout for this website, and we picked 3 alumni reunion classes, and from that we had a little survey of those who, if they had any suggestions. Nobody had any suggestions. They loved it. They were eager to sign up, and out of that we received our first 65 members that have signed up for the Alumni Association. So once we do a open enrollment, we feel comfortable. Our goal was to have 300 alumni sign up in 2020, and I feel comfortable that we'll have that by the end of the year. It won't take that long for it to populate and for it to come about. Click on another one. Go to membership. Guess we can't do membership. Go to partners. Can't do partners. Anyway, let me just talk about partners. And our partners is where we allow some of our small businesses and large businesses to show their advertisements on our screen. And for an annual deal, we charge $250. For a 10-year deal, we charge $1,250. And that's been really popular. That's allowed us to go out, and I think we have around $6,000 that's had been donated to the website just from those advertisements. If we average 300 for the first year, that's around $9,000, depending. I couldn't show you guys. They can join for an annual membership single, annual membership couple. They can join a lifetime membership, and so there's different prices. So the more, and surprisingly, out of those 65 that join, a lot of them were lifetime. So that's $135, which will allow us to get to where we want to be quicker. One of the other things that I think is really important is we pay $12,000 for this website service. We pay $13,000 for them to put it together, and we pay $12,000 a year. So our bill is due on the 31st of December, and I feel comfortable that we'll be there and we'll be able to pay the $12,000. Now, once we start getting more and more people signed up, then we'll be able to go out to the community and fundraise and do some other things virtually. But right now, our goal for the first year was just to get enough people signed up so we could pay for the website and continue to do it over time. But we're really excited about it. We have some work to do with it, but it's been really accepted well by the folks that we've gotten in front of. And so I think it's going to do everything that we wanted to do. A lot of the other districts in Northwest Ohio, they have their websites on Facebook or something like that, or on their district website. With this, we can just reach out to a multitude of people. We can fundraise, of course. We can advertise. We can update. We can bring all our classes, our reunion classes in, and then eventually we want to do wide-scale events, like at the quarry, where we invite several reunions to come in and we do it up like a big party kind of thing. So when I say party, I say that loosely. But those are the kind of things this will allow us to do. There's also a mentorship program that will allow us to reach out to businesses in the community and kind of coordinate some of our seniors, junior seniors, that possibly go to these different businesses and learn about what it takes to be a professional in that particular genre. So we're really excited about that too. I wish we had a better feed, because it's really a neat deal. When you look at it on the front page, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see all the people who have signed up, and it's a picture of the world map. And you can go out and you can see where it could be somebody in Germany. It could be somebody, you click on that number, the person would pop up, and then you would be able to kind of reach out to that individual. So it's pretty neat. So when whoever gets an opportunity to reach out and look at the website as we unroll it, I invite you to do it. We even have a area where you can join, even if you're not an alumnus. It won't give you everything, but it'll give you enough for you to be able to go on and look at it and participate, and at least have the information to participate in some of the events. So, does anybody have any questions? No? Greg, you don't have nothing? No? Okay. All right. Also in your packet, there's some information, the second page, there's some information about some of the events or some of the projects that the foundation has agreed to look at and take on. The first one is the second phase of the Northview High School Wellness Center. This past week we sent out 3 RFQs, which is a request for a quote from 3 different contractors. So by the end of the month, first of next week, we should have those numbers back. And from talking to most of them that are familiar with the project, they feel comfortable that they can beat that number that's shown on the page. We have a deal that I'm really thankful to Dr. Motley. We had a conversation for the Southview training and weight room facility. We're going to reach out to some of our, we have an appointment for the end of December to reach out to a big supporter in our community, and they were really happy that we called them, and so we're looking forward to that, and I think they will be able to help out with that project at Southview. We have the Southview High School baseball backstop stadium seats, working with Kevin Dansizen and a group of volunteers over at Southview to put that together. We have the Northview High School hitting facility. That is a project that's more of a future project, but we've already started to look at some architectural drawings and some things to see how much that will cost us. That's just a guesstimation on the price. The Southview High School softball cage is something that's going to happen. The foundation will help with that if we don't take care of the whole thing, but we will help with it. It's a smaller amount. That's something we can get our hands around. And then at both of our high schools, we have a situation where we have plaques that line the whole hallway going into the gymnasiums. And So we're gonna look at, we already looked and met several times with the Wall of Fame for some kiosks, that we would be able to condense that and have all those Hall of Fame members, and we won't have them all lined up the wall, and that should create some more space for some other things. So we're really excited about these projects. We have a meeting Wednesday, December 9th, to vote on them and discuss them a little more, but we'll be reaching out to everybody in the community to kind of support this and help us with these projects. But here again, I think it's something that's very doable. We live in a district that is project oriented. They like projects better than they like fundraising for cash. So if that's what they like to do, then I'm not gonna fight that. I'm gonna go with it. And I like projects too. When I was a parent, I participated in a lot of them when my kids were going through the program. So I'm looking forward to some of these. And all of our schools, both of our schools, our high schools, are really in need of some repair. And I know we've really, the district really put forth some effort, and we're doing some stuff in Northview, and we've also did a lot of things at Southview, but we want to continue that because we want to give our students the best opportunity to perform, and we want to keep them all in our district. So it's very important to the foundation. It's very important to me. I talked to Dr. Motley when she first got here a few times, and she comes from a historically proud football family, and then also where she came from, they have good sports and good academics, and so we want to continue that here at Southview. So with that said, does anybody have any questions about the project?
You said you have a meeting Wednesday, a meeting with like a...
What? Yeah, you're going to get your hands on.
Oh, maybe Forrest is. That works out.
Yeah. Yep, we have Wednesday, it's a virtual meeting at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. I would like to say, I commend your efforts from the time we met in August. Not only have you been able to share a brochure, which I know is under work when I first started talking to you and joined Sylvania, but in addition, the continued efforts of keeping the ball rolling and moving forward. I would like the board to know that James and I have spoken about opportunities in the future, not knowing what COVID will continue to look like moving forward, but what can we explore as far as virtual fundraisers? What types of things could we do? It may generate smaller dollar amounts, but they're still dollar amounts that add up. And I know a lot of different communities and a lot of different organizations are doing some things virtually, including Rotary, which I'm a part of. So I've asked him to also work to see if there's some things we can do until we know what the future will look like, because we're losing time and the needs are always there. So I would like to be able to continue to support those needs.
I think you left your glasses up here. You want to grab those before you go?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We are with you, Lisa.
Thank you. On the board agenda tonight is the resolution to endorse the Fair School Funding Plan. Last week, the House, this plan was submitted to the House for vote. So many of our representatives endorsed and supported the funding plan. One in particular is Lisa Sobacki. She represents District 45, and that includes our neighboring districts, TPS, and Washington Local. Lisa is also a former TPS board member. She spoke in support of the plan. What's different about this funding plan that we haven't seen in 23 years is the fact that it addresses some of the inequities that we've seen throughout the course of the 23 years since the funding model was declared unconstitutional. But it addresses the funding for some of their unfunded mandates, like the economically disadvantaged, transportation, funding for English learners, programs that we've been expected to get off the ground in the district, but the funding has been minimal for many. So, but it was really interesting to watch the overwhelming support. I was able to watch it live last week. So, and like Dan said, he took the words out of my mouth. disappointing piece is it is not on the Senate's schedule to be voted on. And if it's not voted on, if they don't put it on the schedule before the end of the year, the work for the last 3 years will die. So it will need to be reintroduced if it gets reintroduced next year. So it's really important that we reach out to our senators so that they put it on the schedule to be voted on before the end of the year. This is a game changer. This funding model is a game changer for the district. It's a game changer for all the public schools across the state of Ohio. So if you have time, please reach out to the senators, and I can send you the link to them. Our professional organization asked us to reach out to the 3 key senators. I just emailed them all. Like, it's good enough. I'm just going to email them all. This resolution will go to the governor. It will go to the House of Representatives, Bob Cobb, and it will also go to the person in charge of the Senate. But I'm going to send it to all the senators so that it encourages them to put this piece of legislation, Senate Bill 376, on the slate to be voted on before the end of the year.
Agreed. I mean, it was incredible. I have a friend that's in the House of Representatives, called me that night on his way home as he was driving back to Cleveland, and he said the same thing, like, we have to put all the pressure on the Senate to hear it. You said if we have time, reach out. If you don't have time, make time. Like, we have to do it. You know, I will reach out. I know Dan said work with SEA. I'm happy to reach out to SEA and, you know, see what I can do to help, because we have to do everything we can to get this passed.
Agreed.
So with that being said, I'd like to ask your approval for item 4.1, the resolution to endorse the Fair School Funding Plan.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Does anyone else have any comments? Ms. Shanks?
Julie Hoffman,
Yes.
Bruce Maslitsky,
Yes.
Kimberly Conklin,
Yes.
Greg Feller,
Yes.
Shayna Sapersky.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are with you, Dr. Motley.
Thank you, Ms. Falcon. Again, good evening, everyone. I will start with agenda item 5.1 through 5.8, where I will ask for your consent agenda approval. Item 5.1 is the recommendation to approve a donation of a violin to our Northview High School Orchestra program. Item 5.2 is related to the Sylvania Area Joint Recreation District appointment, where we will accept or recommend the resolution of Casey Nowicki as the Sylvania Board of Education representative to the Sylvania Area Joint Recreation District Board. And that is a 3-year term. Also, we have item 5.3. We recommend your approval for a memorandum of understanding where we worked with SEA leadership that would allow our SEA members, if they so choose, to bring their child or school-aged children to work with them under a remote learning plan. Also, item 5.4 is a revision of the exempt salary index and schedule. Also, that will go into effect in January 2021. We also are happy to say and welcome Robin Robinson as Assistant Treasurer. We recommend her appointment. She is scheduled to begin on January 4th. Also, we have item 5.6, as we are recommending a child nutrition supervisor salary schedule. And then item 5.7 is an appointment of our new child nutrition supervisor, who we are thrilled to have join us. And that's Larry Holston. And then item 5.8 is our recommendation for our first read of the 2 school calendars for the 21-22 school year, as well as the 22-23 school year, in which we worked with not only our calendar committee, but representatives from across the district, including SEA. We also put those calendar options out for a vote and received feedback. And so those were the 2 calendars, those options that we're bringing forth with you that were voted on by our staff members. Do you have anything to add to that, Tim, with regards to that process?
Yeah. OPC members, SEA members, parents were also involved in our committee for the calendar recommendations. So it was a good committee. Well,
And then item 5.9, again, is the consent agenda approval for items 5.1 to 5.8.
I'll move approval of items 5.1 to 5.8 on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, comments or questions?
Just a comment on the red plan. It has the dates July 1st to June 30, 2022. Should it be 2021?
It should be 2021.
Okay, that's the
Thank you
next.
for catching
Yeah.
that.
Okay. That was my only.
We will correct that.
I have multiple questions. So for the safeguard appointment, didn't we take resumes last time, or is that because somebody left?
It was because somebody left, so
Okay.
Casey Nowicki's been on for a while, so I think that's why we're just continuing his appointment. The last time
Okay.
somebody left, so we had another, can't remember his name, but he retired from it.
Okay. Oh, as far as the policies, did Neola come, or?
Yes, they did, and that's, actually for item 5.10, we're going to ask you to approve those first reads, but
Oh,
Neola.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay, it's a great point of information. Neola did come and meet with us, I wanna say it was around the first week of November. Their representative came and walked through each of the policies and gave us their recommendations and feedback and direction in regards to not only what other districts were doing around the state, but also what they thought we should take a look at. We had Tim participate in some of the language, Lisa for those elements that pertain to her, myself, Vicki Mayer, and really kind of sat down and chewed through it. Those are not all the policies. Some of the policies we're still revisiting because we need more information in regards to what that really means for us. Some of them are newer than others. Some of them haven't been visited for a while. And some of them you'll see, especially in regards to school attendance or attendance, that really is around COVID and remote learning. So they're being revised based on current conditions as well.
So we have a policy committee, like the board members are on it, and so I don't know why we weren't supposed to be there, because this is like our main thing is policy.
That's correct, and that is one of your priorities. I was not aware there was a committee for policy, so I apologize, that's my own misstep.
That would be
I know
me
that.
and
And
Shannon.
Well, and that's interesting
Right.
because you both received packets.
Yeah, so we,
And I was
I
given,
wondered when
but
you
I
gave
didn't
it
know
to
there
me, I
was
was
a
like,
committee, so.
Why are we getting
Yeah.
this now?
Yeah, that's why.
yeah, so we would normally be invited to those, so,
Thank
you
you
know,
for that
in the
information.
future. I have a lot of questions about the policies, which you would have gotten if I was at the committee, so now you're
Well,
gonna
you
get
know,
them.
I
Now we
think
gotta
recommend,
listen.
well, and
Now
quite
you gotta listen
frankly,
to us.
right? So I think this is what I would like to do. I would like to table that particular item and that we have Neola come back out and sit down with our committee that obviously exists.
Oh, I don't know that that's necessary.
Or we can talk through, either way, let me do some homework then to find out what you've done in the past and we'll continue to follow suit, because I definitely did not want to omit you.
Oh, I mean, I don't think you have to go through the process again. I think that would be.
No, but I mean, I don't know, we could meet about it, or,
Yeah.
either way.
I'm happy to pull it and wait for the next month, whatever you feel is you're most comfortable with. I just don't
either
want to
way.
slight the board in any way. Are you comfortable with moving forward with them, at least for our first read, and then we can continue to
yes,
meet
first
and before we do a
Yeah.
second read, or for approval rather?
Absolutely.
All right, we can do that then. And thank you for that point of clarification.
Okay, so you're gonna want me to hold all my questions?
Yes.
I have a lot of
There's
questions.
a big smile back here, so yes, if you could hold them, that would be great, and then we can
I have a lot of
have a
questions.
meeting together, absolutely.
Only on 5 policies, I have a lot of questions.
That's a lot.
But I'll put them
We'll
over
take
here.
them.
Okay, then I have a question about the red plan MOU.
Certainly.
I see in there that we're requiring teachers to come to school, into the buildings. Can we talk about why we wouldn't have them working at home? I mean, I appreciate that they can bring their kids to school. I certainly do, but, you know, as the numbers are rising in Lucas County and there's advising if you can work at home, work at home. So we're adding more people to the building by having them bring their kids as opposed to staying at home. So can somebody help me with why
Sure.
we're not like giving them the choice?
Sure. I will say, we are working, I personally met with SEA leadership last week, and we've continued to work through some of the details that would allow that option for our staff. Number one, what threshold would that look like to have our staff work remotely? from home and again, have the option to work remotely. Number two, what are the hours? What hours would staff like access to the buildings if they choose to want to come back into the building to pick up resources or not? Because those have a tangent effect on other departments. For example, with our custodial staff and sanitizing and making sure our classrooms are sanitized and clean before we have folks come back in and then they're not clean or they need to be re-sanitized. So we are working through that, and we strongly feel that that will be an option and in the future for our staff. In regards to more people in the buildings, I think that's twofold. I think one, our teachers are very capable of being able to social distance from their colleagues, in addition to walk into their classroom where their resources are and made available. I will tell you, we only had, from what I understand, and Tim reached out to every principal, I want to say 3 to 4 teachers at best at the building level brought their children to school. So again, it is an option for folks. They don't have to. And we're going to continue to work through details that will provide them an option if they want to work from home. But we are doing that collaboratively because I think it's important to have union leadership involved in that conversation.
Yeah,
So
I mean, and just to clarify, I don't have a problem with them bringing their kids into the buildings.
No,
I mean,
it's an option now. It's
Yeah,
flexibility.
right,
That's
I
what
mean,
we're looking to do.
Right, I would advocate for options, that they have
Absolutely.
options.
And one of the things that we did in speaking with SEA leadership is to sit down and talk about what that can look like, and get their input. Because, for example, do you want a building open from 8 to 8, 6 to 8, or what are those working hours that if people want to work from home? Because I will say, from what we've heard, some people want the option. A lot of people do not want to work from home. A lot of people want to come into the building where their resources are, where their technology is located. So that's what we're looking to do. And we just met the last day we met was Thursday when I was out ill and not at my best. But more information will be coming for that.
Okay, so we're working on giving them
absolutely.
options.
Yeah.
Okay.
And SEA leadership knows that, and I'm hoping, my goal in speaking with them was really to have something rolled out as we continue to work by the end of this week, if not sooner.
Oh, so by the end of this week?
We're
Okay.
hoping.
I like
We're
that.
hoping. That's
Okay.
a goal. That's a goal.
I'm gonna remember
Gotta
you said by the end of
remember
this week, so
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm live, so I'm live, and I keep
Okay.
me at my word. I do try to follow through with my word.
So I'll call you on Friday, is what you're saying.
You might not have to. I might do it before then. You never know.
I want to add, I think that probably working from home is the most important option, because if we're at a point where the kids aren't coming to school because of COVID, like, it really makes sense that the teachers are the ones, for the staff members are who we're trying to protect the most, so it doesn't really make sense to make them come into the building when we're sending the kids home. I'm fine with all the options, but I really think that's an important option, especially since we've been asked by, I think the governor said, if you can work from home, you should work from home.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Shanks?
Bruce Slitsky,
Oh, yes, sorry.
Kimberly Conlon,
Yes.
Greg Feller,
Yes.
Shannon Sapersky,
Yes.
Julie Hoffman.
Yes.
Thank you. I think we are on item 5.11, correct? We did the policies, or no, we did do the policies.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, no worries. 5.10 looks at the policies for first read. We have several that looks at a variety of matters, from employment of administrators to evaluation of principals and other administrators, religion in the curriculum, interscholastic athletics, volunteers, waiver of school fees. Those are outlined on the agenda for those who may be interested in reviewing those. And I do recommend approval for a first read, followed by a meeting with Shannon and with Julie to discuss those policies in more detail prior to the second read or second adoption.
Oh. Need to move approval. Guess I'll move approval.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Just to be clear, you want me to hold my questions?
Yes.
Okay.
If you would, please.
Anybody else, comments or questions?
Set up a 4-hour meeting.
Right. I have a lot of questions. Ms. Shanks?
Shannon Sapersky,
Yes.
Greg Feller,
Yes.
Julie Hoffman.
Yes.
Kimberly Conlon,
Yes.
Bruce Slitsky.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5.11, which is the discussion of donation of property. This evening we have Mr. Bacho here as well as Mr. Arnold. Welcome. welcome to our meeting, Greg, I appreciate it. I'm here to talk about the discussion of donation of property. Mr. Feller has also been involved a little bit with this communication, so he's our board representative that will also be able to engage in the conversation tonight. And I do believe there was a packet that was already distributed that they will be making reference to
Yeah.
as well. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
Thank you, Alan, as well.
You want me to just sit here and,
If that's fine.
that's
You're-
fine, yeah, I'll
Thank
talk
you.
loud.
I mean, you don't want him on the camera?
If he can be on the,
Then
I
I-
think she can turn it.
Okay.
Would you,
I mean, I can move if you want him up here.
would you like to come up here in front of the camera for us?
Wherever you want me.
That
I'll-
would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there a chair back there for you, Julie?
No, I'm good.
So anyway, I was contacted by Alan to take a look at some of the legal aspects of a proposed gift of real estate to the board. And this particular real estate was part of the Farm Brook development several years ago. And if you'll look at the first page under the title page, and you'll see towards the southern end a triangular piece of property, and that's approximately a half an acre. Just for reference, that property, as all of Farm Brook is in Sylvania Township. The school property, which is just to the west of that, the big square, is city of Sylvania. So that's the township and the city butt up against each other. But in any event, this is about a half an acre of property. I took a look at it. I think there are some issues to consider. It does have an easement through the middle of it. Right now, it's just maintained as a nature preserve type area where there's free growth. That would continue on because that was the purpose of the property. It abuts the bike trail, and so based upon the prior use of the bike trail, which was a railroad line, I think a phase one environmental audit would be appropriate. I did reach out to the developer. He said that one had been done, but that he disposed of it several years ago, so we don't have the benefit of at least an older environmental audit to look at. But based on the location of it, also based upon the fact that past the Southview property, there's some industrial property now not functioning, but still there, that if the board decided it wanted to proceed, that would be something that I would recommend be done. The other thing, this has occurred in the past, not as far as a gift goes, but as far as acquiring smaller parcels of property. There were a couple houses that fronted on Sylvania Avenue that the board purchased 2 or 3 years ago to first square up the property lines, but also, in that case, it had utility and use. Also on Silica Drive, we bought some property to clean out what is now approximately where the new baseball facility is located. This, however, I guess I would encourage the board to look at, is there utility in having this triangular piece of property? But if so, then a phase one environmental audit would have to be done, and also a title search be done. Since it's a gift and we've been approached, I would recommend that any of those expenses be discussed and a commitment by the person that wants to donate the property pay for those expenses. There's really no other use for the property. It's landlocked for the most, well, it's landlocked, and so it'd be difficult to do anything other than to either give it to the board or it can't be retained in Farm Brook because part of the plat requirements was that it be deeded out to a public agency to be maintained as a nature preserve. So those are my thoughts on it. Board certainly has the power to accept the gift, but then the question is, does the board want me to pursue those issues of phase one and a title commitment to get a better idea of whether this is a parcel that the board wants. Alan, we spoke end of last week. Any further thoughts? Or Greg, I know you were the initial contact. Thoughts that I should know about so I can assess it from a legal perspective.
Right, I'm a little curious about, I guess, talking a little bit about the recommendation for a phase one, because I mean, obviously it's not gonna be built on, it can't be built on, so I'm not really sure how necessary a phase one is, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Well, my thought are, we don't know what, might have spilled on the property with the train going down. There are industrial uses along what was that train line. You're right, it's not gonna be built on, but, I would also caution against acquiring a property that may have some contamination. It may not, it probably doesn't, but due diligence, I think, requires that phase one to be done, not at the board's expense.
Right. Okay. And then Alan, quick question, I heard somewhere along the way that, does Olander Park or somebody maintain the back portion of that property?
Correct. A number of years ago, the board agreed to allow Olander to maintain, I think it may be around 6-7 acres, something like that, what's behind the fence, between the fence behind Southview to the trail. And they've been maintaining it as an oak openings preserve area, cleaning it out and that sort of a thing. I don't know how much they've been able to do recently, but the agreement was, it wasn't a formal agreement. However, it was just in place to allow them to do that, so if, say, in the future, a board deemed that property necessary to expand maybe the athletic fields, because maybe they needed to build onto the high school or something to that extent, that could happen. So it's just sort of an agreement for them to do that. Now, my understanding from Greg is this triangular piece of property has to be maintained as some sort of a nature preserve, because it's in the deed.
So it's a plat restriction.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was an in-kind service that they were maintaining this particular piece of property, but we don't have anything formally, correct?
Correct.
Would we have to pursue something formally, and was it informal because it wasn't deeded to us proper, or?
No, the board owns that property. We're just allowing Olander.
There's a-
Oh, not the
Not
nature
this,
part.
not this triangle.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought they were maintaining as a preserve.
No. So I guess I'm asking,
Yeah,
would this, I'm assuming they would maintain this triangle piece as well.
that's
I
what I
don't
was
know,
going.
Greg, you had some discussion.
I did. I talked to Erica Burry, who's the executive director of the Olander Park System. And she said that there's an informal agreement on the parcel that's owned by Sylvania Schools, but there's no agreement, and they do not do anything on this triangular piece.
Right. Cool.
They probably would.
Okay.
I don't know that. And I think, too, based on this past minute and a half of conversation, and just for full disclosure, I also represent the Olander Park System and that board. I wasn't involved in this informal agreement, but I can imagine that it's just, they go in there and maintain it, pull out maybe any, non-native pieces of whatever's in there. And they would probably do the same thing for this half acre. They would be willing to maintain that because they do connect. And that's another reason why the board is really, if the developer does not convince the board to accept the donation, the only other entity that they could possibly consider giving it to is the entity that controls the bike trail. And because that also is contiguous to the bike trail. So that's what I found out in my review. If the board says, carry it forward, I'll do that, but I'll wait for your direction.
And just so the rest of the board members know, I was approached by the developer, I guess originally when this was developed, there is a plat restriction on this plat that says the developer would maintain ownership of that lot until such time it's transferred to a public agency. He said the intent all along was to transfer that to the school because it is contiguous. He said that was kind of the agreement when Farmbrook was done. He said, I guess back when this was established, I guess, one of the horticulture teachers at Southview was using it to do, plant, whatever they do, plant
That's what I was
experiments.
wondering if we could use it for some
Yeah,
sort
we
of
could.
educational purpose.
For sure.
Okay.
And he said initially it was being used for
Okay.
that purpose. Now, I don't know if it's been used since then,
Yeah.
but it was being used. It is part of the, the south part of Southview property is like that whole open use region. This is part of it. Obviously it has to remain natural, which it will. So that's kind of how it all came about, is because it was part of the initial agreement in the plat that it be conveyed, and it just has never happened for whatever reason up until this
So
point.
would it be considered part of Southview, or does it even matter since it's township and we're city? Is there any issue with that, or?
No, it's kind of a court,
I mean,
as
obviously
far
we
as
own property, but-
combining them might be an issue when you have the township, but, it doesn't create an impediment.
Okay.
Because we wouldn't draw a new legal description. It has its own legal description, and so we can just transfer it with that.
And I believe there's no tax value to it.
There's no
so
tax,
it wouldn't
there's no
cost the
taxes,
district
and
anything.
even if there were taxes, we'd make it exempt, so there are no taxes.
Right.
But nothing is assessed against it now.
Right.
Even to the,
Is there a
private.
downside for us to move forward? What's the downside?
the downside is you acquire something you don't really have any use for. No,
I do that all the time,
yeah. If there's a use for it, if there's a contemplated use that, it's a half an acre, so, it's a piece of property that if there's a educational function that can be utilized by utilizing that, then, it has value to it.
So you're looking for some direction from us?
This direction, do you want me to approach, the next step would be to approach the owner, Dunkirk Realty, which by the way is a LLC, and I did look it up because that development was closed out a long time ago. The LLC still exists, so they've kept it functioning, so they have the capacity to transfer it. So, yeah, I'm just looking if you want to, based on this discussion, let's take next steps and talk to the owner about a phase 1 and a title search. That's what I would do.
That would be my recommendation to move forward.
So you want to move forward? Anybody else have any thoughts? Are we good?
No, I agree, it's fine,
No,
I mean, I
good.
think move forward.
Yeah.
We could figure out a way to use it with the students,
Yeah.
just for the couple.
There you go, move forward.
That'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Nice to meet you as well. Carry on.
All right, carrying on. Item 6.1 really is, the whole area is looking at our classified staff or exempt staff. Item 6.1 is license extra duty pay. We have folks for OST intervention. This is actually certified, I apologize, and OST tutoring. We also have some staff that we employ for GED credit recovery. We also, or general ed recovery rather. We also have the employment of licensed teachers, staff for the Purpose Project, and not to exceed 6 hours. Item 6.2, we are pleased that we are able to add 4 new substitute teachers to our pool for this school year. And item 6.3 does include 1 resignation of a substitute teacher, so we're still up 3. That's a positive, going in the right direction. Item 6.4 is to request your consent agenda on these items, recommending for board approval.
I'll move for approval items 6.1 through 6.4 on a consent agenda basis.
A second.
Any comments or questions?
I want to say my kids have 2 of these sub teachers, and they have both commented how much they like both of them. So
Oh, that's good
Yeah.
feedback. Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. Shanks?
Greg Feller,
Yes.
Shannon Sapersky,
yes.
Julie Hoffman,
Yes.
Ruslan Slutsky,
Yes.
Kimberly Conklin.
Yes. Thank you. Moving on to our classified staff. Item 7.1 looks at some personnel items regarding classified staff. These individuals are moving from one position within OC to another position, and those are noted for your review. Item 7.2 includes classified new hires. Again, you'll see some substitutes that we are able to bring on board. Item 7.3 looks at an unpaid leave for a few of our folks here in the district. Item 7.4 is classified additional hours. for, I wanna say translation services. And I believe those are paid for out of Title III. Also, item 7.5, we do have a resignation of a paraprofessional. And item 7.6, look, is a recommended for board approval of the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll move for approval items 7.1 to 7.6 on a consent agenda.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Ms. Shanks?
Greg Feller,
Yes.
Bruce Lanswitsky,
Yes.
Kimberly Conklin,
Yes.
Julie Hoffman,
Yes.
Shannon Saferski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Motley. It is board committee reports and announcements. Greg, anything?
No.
Kim, I'm gonna assume no. Anything you want to
Yeah,
announce?
no.
Shannon?
No.
Ursula?
Nothing.
I also have nothing to report, so, public participation for non-agenda items, do you have any more in, just the one I had? Okay, so I am calling Rob McKinnon.
Hello?
Hello, is this Rob McKinnon?
This is.
Hi, Rob, this is Julie Hoffman calling from the Sylvania Board of Education.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, we got your request to, address us, so I just ask that you state your name and address, and then the floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, this is Rob McKinnon. I live at 2501 Spruce Loop, Pennsylvania.
Okay, you
And I
can,
was,
go ahead.
I wanted to thank you for allowing me the chance to contribute to your meeting. I've got two boys that have gone through Sylvania schools. We're at the finish line. I have a senior at Southview, Tommy, and a son, Robbie, who is a freshman at Ohio State. So what I wanted to call and discuss is the Lucas County Board of Health order to shut down the school facilities. I'm sure their intentions were sincere, when they debated this and put this order in place, but I feel, and many others, that it's really missed the mark, and in fact may, put our kids and put the public in a worse position. What I feel they missed is they really didn't take into account or consider, well, after this order's in place, what happens to these kids and the free time that was void in their lives when they were participating at the school and their activities. I can tell you, I see that some get jobs or take on extra hours at Kroger and Chick-fil-A and other restaurants and establishments around town that hire our high school kids. There's a lot that, I've got memberships at the YMCA and JCC, Planet Fitness. There's several non-school related training facilities around town. And those are the productive uses of their time. And then you also, this age demographic is, when they get influenced with drugs, alcohol, tobacco, and other things that are extremely non-productive uses of their time, that, these extracurricular activities need to curtail a lot of those. What we've seen is that, we've taken our students from a controlled, structured environment where they're at their school and this practice or whoever's in charge of their activity is a certified, trained, professional. And we've pushed them out into these environments that are completely unstructured. There's zero to little supervision involved. I imagine to be a high school coach, there's probably 5 to 10 certifications and background checks that are necessary. I know that there's some facilities out there available that are packed, their calendars packed from dusk till dawn with no less than 5 of our fellow schools and communities in Lucas County. So you went from a situation where maybe you have 15 kids in an activity that participate in this at your school in a controlled environment that are now sometimes, you know, 10 hours of kids coming in and out of this facility with little control. I mean, that's where I see the, you know, where they miss the boat. I mean, the chance for spread and the contact tracing in that situation is completely not manageable. You know, where when we had them at the school, you know, at least there was control and supervision and the ability to know who was coming in and out. With that being said, I know it's a long meeting for you. There's a bunch of Sylvania students down at a protest out in the cold as we speak down at the Board of Health. But what we're asking, myself, my family, and a large number of people that I'm in contact with all the time, is that the district publicly and openly, you know, advocate for our kids and ask the Lucas County Board of Health to rescind that order. It's, I don't think it's in the best interest of our kids, and I don't think it's in the best interest of public health. I know there's a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock again to reconsider this, and I've had conversations with a few members of the board. One, I had a phone conversation, and he said there's dialogue with the school district, I believe he said on a weekly basis, and it's not necessarily that they're against the shutdown of the school facilities. He didn't name which districts he was talking about, but, you know, I think it would be in everyone's best interest if Sylvania supported that, you know, this order being rescinded.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. McKinnon, for your comments. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Nobody else, Amy? Okay. Then I move that we go into executive session for the purposes of
Preparation for bargaining sessions with public employees.
Thank you. Need a second.
Second.
Ms. Shanks?
Julie Hoffman.
Yes.
Bruce Vanswitski.
Yes.
Greg Feller.
Yes.
Shannon Sapersky.
Yes.
Kimberly Conlon.
Yes.
Thank you, and there will be no action following.